like Astrodome. The Astrodome Conservancy is revealing what the group is calling a viable redevelopment project. But is this proposal going to be any different than the many ideas that have come before? Our Troy Kless explains the difficult process of repurposing the iconic dome.
The Houston Astrodome had its heyday.
And the finest air-conditioned sports facility that man has ever known.
Hundreds of Houston Astros and Houston Oilers games played on the famous AstroTurf. And after nearly 4 decades of performances, the dome had its curtain call with the king.
Tonight's the last night for the rodeo in the Astrodome after 37 years.
And the dome officially closed in 2009. Since then, we've heard several pitches for the Astrodome's future.
Let's bring these spotlights here.
Like a movie studio, a hotel and convention center, even a stripped-down park.
With this building, it's such a huge task to kind of figure out what to do with it.
In 2015, former Harris County Judge Ed Emmett went to Germany for inspiration, but the dome still sits in silence. In 2016, the Astrodome Conservancy formed as a private nonprofit to preserve the Astrodome's legacy.
All in favor signify by aye.
In 2018, Harris County Commissioners approved $105 million to renovate the Astrodome, to build a parking garage and create usable event space, only to see the plan later put on hold. Now, after years of public input, the Astrodome Conservancy now ready to present its plan called Vision Astrodome, hoping it can recapture the wonder surrounding the 8th wonder of the world.
Troy Kless reporting there. And this morning, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo releasing a statement just 2 hours before the planned announcement in a couple of minutes here. President and CEO Chris Bowman saying, quote, "The rodeo has not had formal conversations with the Astrodome Conservancy in more than a year." He adds that the rodeo does not support previous concepts since they conflict with the organization's strategic vision and operational needs, and have shared those concerns with the Conservancy. Bowman says, quote, "There is no proposed or official plan that our organization has agreed to or been made aware of regarding the future of the Astrodome." He ends with saying that the rodeo's goal remains focused on the functioning buildings, enhancing their experience and growing the event. All right. Astrodome, of course, was known as the 8th wonder of the world when it first came up in the 60s. A team of architects at the University of Houston won a competition for what could be done with the historic building. Our Marcelino Benito takes a look at the award-winning design.
For 15 years now, the Astrodome has sat silent, waiting to learn its fate.
Paris has the Eiffel Tower, New York has the Empire State Building, London has the Big Ben. What does Houston have? The Astrodome. So we need to save it.
In an annual competition, the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers challenges teams to reimagine existing structures. This year, that challenge was the Astrodome.
As soon as I heard that word, I was like, I'm in. I don't care what we're doing. I gotta take part in that.
Alongside UH professor Mili Criopolo, Gensler architect Alfonso Hernandez, master student Felipe Villarreal, and other colleagues spent the summer at work studying a building that no one seems to know what to do with.
We were having a lot of fun, and at work we usually have to deal with budgets and schedules and all that, and this one was just, let's see what we can do with it.
The end result, transforming the Astrodome into an indoor public street with a botanical garden, 77,000 square feet of retail space, 500 hotel rooms, and a massive immersive museum dedicated to the dome's history.
Give the people the ability to go through the building, make it part of the urban fabric.
The iconic structure would remain intact, a major change, opening the building up on the east side to a large promenade stretching out to the light rail.
So we decided to open up the building literally by chopping a little piece out of it to that side in order to create visual but also experiential connection to the city.
The concept wowed the judges, the Houston-based team taking home first place. County leaders didn't respond to our requests on where things stand on the Astrodome, but these local architects hopeful it reignites the fire to not give up on an iconic piece of architecture.
We sort of look at the process we followed that can be an inspiration for a lot more ideas to come.
Marcelino Benito, KHOU 11 News.
The Astrodome, of course, has been around for decades, since 1965, and with that, some unique moments in its history. Here's our Jason Bristol with a strange but true story about the dome.
The Astrodome, where games postponed due to weather were a thing of the past. But there was this one day. It's June 15th, 1976. The Astros have a night game against Pittsburgh, but it rains and rains and rains. More than 7.5 inches flood the streets and highways. Only 10 or 20 fans managed to get to the ballpark. To GM Tal Smith, it was obvious. The game should be called off, but...
When I first mentioned this, there were some people that thought that would be a negative, and I said to the contrary, I think it's a practical thing to do.
Finally, the game is postponed, though it's not actually a rain out, explained a team spokesman. It's a rain in. We're bone dry inside. And the players? Well, they can't leave, so team officials decide to hold a picnic. The Astros and Pirates enjoy dinner together on folding tables near second base.
We had steaks and stuff on the field and stuff with the other team, sitting there laughing and everything.
Although both clubs do break an MLB rule, no fraternizing while in uniform. Then again, who's going to enforce it? The umpires couldn't get to the game either.
Oh.
The first postponement of an indoor baseball game due to weather. The rain-in is a strange but true Houston sports story.
All right, our Jason Bristol there, and we're taking a live look now of the inside of the Astrodome, a familiar shot and a familiar view to many. And here are some of the renderings that some previous plans have had, some previous ideas, I think, of what might be done with the Astrodome. Of course, the world's first domed stadium that was opened in 1965. We're kind of punching around looking at that. Oh, these may be the new renderings that we're going to hear about, I'm guessing now, in just a couple of minutes. This press conference slated to start about 10:30, running a couple of moments behind. The Astrodome Conservancy Group is a nonprofit, and they have worked for years looking for a solution on what to do with the Astrodome. You know, a huge venue, iconic in its day, but obviously it's been empty for years now, and the big question is, you know, what to do with that facility. The chairman is Phoebe Tudor, and we expect to hear from her shortly. It's a they call themselves a champion, if you will, for the Astrodome, a champion on behalf of the people of Houston and Harris County, and they have raised to date and invested some more than $3 million of private and philanthropic money to try and figure out what the solution to all of this might be. And you may recall, well, here are some more of these renderings. They look gorgeous, so we'll hear more about what's the potential plan here. You may remember a couple of years back that there was an auction inside the Astrodome of many of the items there, like the old seats, the bases that the Houston Astros used to run when they played their games there. And that was extremely popular. Folks lined up and purchased items from there. And you know, I've seen pictures, people send them to me, of their Astrodome seats that they may have had season tickets to now sitting on the porch, in front of their house. So there's a lot of fond memories for folks, but of course it's a big financial situation. The county spends, $100,000 plus a year helping just to maintain the building, and that's its contribution. I think it's over $150,000 a year, and then there are other sources of income for that. So it is an expensive facility to maintain when nothing happens in it right now. It's the big question, of course, what can you do with a structure like this to make it useful, make it interesting, hopefully to make it a draw. Alrighty, I think we're getting set up. Hopefully the press conference about to start, and maybe not. Folks walking around a little bit. Those are the big questions. Maybe we can take a look again at some of those renderings. There's been some rumor that there may be a huge plan being unveiled, maybe with as large as $1 billion price tag to it.
And I am the founder and chairman of the board of directors of the Astrodome Conservancy. Thank you so much for coming today, and I think it's very appropriate that we are hosting this event in this building, the Ion, which is a wonderful example of a creative adaptive reuse of a large mid-century modern structure that we did not want to see torn down. Thanks to Rice University for going forward with this wonderful renovation, and it shows us all an example of what can be done. Our nonprofit organization, the Astrodome Conservancy, was created to work with the county to advocate for the reuse of Houston and Harris County's most famous icon, the Astrodome. We envision a dynamic redevelopment of the Astrodome, accessible to all through creative programming, innovative partnerships, and economic development. We know that millions of people in Texas and around the world love the Astrodome and all that it represents. Our nation at mid-century, embodying our can-do spirit, our engineering expertise, and our aspirations for the future as the first ever indoor air conditioning domed stadium. It has been the site of Oilers football games, Astros baseball games, Houston Livestock Show and rodeo competitions, the Battle of the Sexes between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs 51 years ago, and hundreds of concerts, including Elvis and Selena. The Astrodome came out of the creative vision and audacity of the city and county leaders at that time, including Judge Roy Hoffheinz and Ari Bob Smith, working in cooperation with Reverend Lawson and other church leaders. It was an integrated facility that opened at the height of the Civil Rights Movement in 1965. It is so famous that people around the country and around the world recognize it as one of only 2 buildings that they recognize as being from Texas, the Alamo and the Astrodome. Think about that. Can you imagine not preserving the Alamo? We cannot lose our iconic Astrodome. The Dome is a registered Texas Antiquities Landmark, a Harris County landmark, and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which provides access to substantial additional funding, but even that may not be enough to prevent its demolition, and the time to speak up to save it is now. The Conservancy's job is to be the public's voice for the Astrodome, because after all, the people of Harris County are the owners of the Astrodome. We operate with a memorandum of understanding with Harris County, who are the owners of the Dome, and we have raised almost $3.5 million of private funds and philanthropy spent on behalf of the county to raise awareness, engage the community, and ultimately develop a viable and forward-looking plan for the 8th wonder of the world, as the Dome is fondly known. We are here today to deliver the results of our $3.5 million investment of work as a gift to the county and to the citizens, free of charge, the results of about a decade of studying, working, and listening. According to our community engagement campaign, a vast majority of the people surveyed, 86%, are in favor of repurposing the Dome, and about the same number agreed that public money should be spent to help accomplish that. County leaders need to hear all the public support that is out there, and I think that we can feel the excitement already today. We invite you to sign our petition and contact your elected officials to encourage them to support Vision Astrodome, because they are the decision makers. They are the people that we have elected to represent us, and they care very much what their constituents think. So let your voices be heard. Now, let's answer a few of the questions that we often hear. Doesn't the county owe millions of dollars on the Dome? No, there's no debt left on the Dome. It is a fully paid for Harris County asset. Isn't the Dome full of asbestos? No, Any asbestos has already been removed. Isn't the dome in bad structural condition and about to fall down? Not at all. In fact, according to a report from the International Structural Engineers, it is in remarkably good condition. It was overbuilt to begin with. It has never flooded or even sustained much damage through hurricanes. Throughout the years, it is solid and it is built to last. The Astrodome is ready now for its next chapter, redevelopment. We are well aware that this is a big, expensive, and complicated project. If it were easy, it would have been done long ago. But as President John F. Kennedy said in Houston 60 years ago, when announcing his plans to put a man on the moon, we do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. It is time for all of us in Houston to come together and do something hard, working together to repurpose the Astrodome. So, we have a viable plan and we are here to show it to you. This ambitious vision reflects some of the creativity and audacity of the original builders of the dome and is a great catalyst for the future of NRG Park. This is something we can all be for, and we can work together to make it happen. So let's get right to the vision. I'd like to introduce Beth Wiedauer-Jackson, our Executive Director, and architects Jerry Alexander and Chris Stewart from Gensler to the podium.
Wow, thanks, Phoebe. That was a great welcome, and thank you to everyone for being here. I'm excited. This has been a long time coming. So let's get to it. Here it is, the Astrodome, our beloved landmark that speaks for Houston and Harris County, our identity. The Astrodome was the world's first modern dome stadium, a marvel of design and engineering when it was conceived and constructed in 1964-65. The Dome is at the heart of Houston's sports, entertainment, and cultural heritage. The Astros, the Oilers, the rodeo, and more. For more than 4 decades, the Astrodome was the most recognizable symbol of our city and its innovative can-do spirit. So let's let that legacy live on in a reimagined Astrodome. This is Vision Astrodome, a viable redevelopment concept that answers the question of what to do with the Astrodome. Vision Astrodome is intended to spark conversation, to bring stakeholders together, and the public to the table around the Astrodome. This design creates 450,000 square feet of new revenue-generating space, ringing a new event floor for entertainment, all under the iconic roof of the Astrodome. A sweeping dynamic boulevard inspired by New York City's High Line moves people through the dome while connecting adjacent facilities within NRG Park. Additional parking, storage, and service facilities located beneath the ground floor serve the needs of Harris County and tenants of NRG Park. So now I'm going to turn it over to our experts, our team leads at Gensler, Jerry Alexander and Christopher Stewart, to walk us through the building blocks of Vision Astrodome.
Thank you, Beth. It's been an honor for Jerry and I to be a part of this process. My name is Christopher Stewart. I'm a principal and design director with Gensler's Houston office.
And I'm Jerry Alexander, the managing director of Gensler Houston. And with Phoebe and Beth and Chris, we are very excited to be able to share some very unique ideas for what is an amazing structure that has been such a part of Houston's legacy. So the Astrodome is at the heart of NRG Park. While some see it as a relic or a hindrance, we actually see it as a catalyst for a redevelopment of the entire NRG Park. We see this as a mixed-use destination, not just for Houston or Texas even, but for visitors from all over the world. Chris?
So there are a lot of design firms who've, if you forgive the pun, taken a swing at this project. Devis Concepts, and none of them have really gained traction over time. And I think Jerry and I, as we started to look at it, we realized why. It's just the sheer scale of the facility. It's 9 acres of enclosed internal space. The distance between the concourses is 600 feet. That's 2 football fields. So our approach to this and our primary solution was to say we need to scale this down and make it more humane. And our solution for doing that was to propose building a new ring of buildings within the Astrodome and within the existing seating tiers. What that does is creates new programmable revenue generating space, but it also preserves a properly scaled space in the center of the dome for multi-purpose venue. Our secondary proposal was to externalize the Astrodome by creating a grand sweeping boulevard that slices through the dome, connecting NRG Stadium and NRG Center. This is intended to connect people, to bring them in through, so that everybody experiences the Astrodome as they come to NRG Park. This is intended to be public access for people to access the internal activated newly programmable space. And then our third proposed intervention is to activate the main level concourse and do that both internally and externally as a way to activate the facility inside and outside year-round for the users of NRG Stadium and NRG Park, but also as an added value for the stakeholders of NRG Park. When you take all 3 of these interventions together, we believe what we've created is a very dynamic, desirable destination for potential office users, potential conferences, entertainment, social events, community events, all of it inside the dome all year round.
So this illustrated section really highlights the key aspects of this concept. First, you see in yellow, we've added 2 floors, and essentially raising the ground floor of the Astrodome to meet the level of the ground floor outside of the Astrodome. So it's a seamless experience. Second, shown in the red and blue, are these revenue-generating new buildings built within the dome, within the sloped seating areas. Third and last, you'll see the green areas, if you go back, that are the existing concourses that are largely remaining intact and will provide support and you'll see slightly under there is a little pink area, and that'll be this activation at the ground floor. So this next slide, this illustrates the potential and viability of this new concept, right? It's all about these revenue-generating structures built within the dome, within that ring of seating that Chris talked about, and provides a scale that is comfortable. But you can see this is a multi-story set of buildings within the dome. And then what it does do is it preserves the existing concourses for building services to support these new buildings, but also for alternative revenue-generating opportunities. So what we envision is the outside of the Astrodome, this main concourse spilling out into the landscape. And what it is it's a ring of activation that is restaurants, retail, and services that really generate a year-round opportunity for visitors to NRG Park. So this is a glimpse of what that might look like. So this is what a restaurant might look like as it comes out from the building. That main concourse meets the ground plane that we talked about. And what's also great is it really starts to give you a glimpse of what's going on inside. Chris?
Now let's step inside. So overlooking on the left-hand side, a new central arena, multi-purpose event space. The Grand Boulevard really becomes the main connection between the inside and the outside of the Astrodome. It becomes sort of the main way of accessing NRG Park through the Astrodome. It becomes an attractor that's going to draw people in to this newly programmed space, and we believe if we do it well, it will also bring them back. Imagine Astro City inside the dome. The flexible spaces that we build within the seating tiers that are fully programmable for office users, hospitality, conventions, entertainment, food and beverage, all of this that activates the internal dome all year round and draw people in. And also imagine a new grand, flexible, multi-purpose space, event space in the center of the dome, large enough for a music venue, large enough for equestrian events, large enough for a partial football field. And the height of the dome, Jerry tells me, is tall enough to accommodate the Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
We may have to redesign the base, but it can accommodate that as well.
Yeah. So really, this idea preserves the Astrodome. It preserves this incredible interior space. But it also does a few other things. It creates a really, really unique environment. You have buildings within a building. It gives you a really unique, something you've never seen before, indoor spaces, outdoor spaces that are indoor, that are outdoor. And it's a really interesting dynamic that are overlooking this grand space that's going to be activated with all kinds of things. And it leaves a lot of what is there today intact. So we're not spending money against the existing structure, but we're really creating new opportunities within it. So a revitalized Astrodome, it provides, as Beth and Phoebe both said, an iconic destination under roof within an air-conditioned environment that's comfortable. It can support the Texans, it can support the rodeo, while still celebrating Houston's innovative spirit throughout the years. And as a friend of mine mentioned, this is a generational opportunity. These don't come along. And so it's truly a one-of-a-kind icon for Houston.
We know the big question is going to be, how are we going to do it? So we think we have somebody that has an answer to that. So I want to ask Ryan to come over and tell us how to make it real.
No pressure at all. It is a generational project. That's a great way to describe it. Biggio, Bagwell, Nolan Ryan, the Rolling Stones, and the King Elvis Presley. I wish I could go back and tell 10-year-old Ryan that I get to work on a project where all of them were instrumental in creating what this place was. So thank you, Chris and Jerry. It's a pleasure to work with you on this project. And thank you, Beth. Thank you, Phoebe. Thank you to the entire board of the Conservancy. Thank you for being the steadfast champion of bringing new life to the Astrodome. My name is Ryan Lavasser. I'm with Lavass Ventures. And I'm sure the first pair of questions on everyone's mind, as Chris alluded to, is how much will this cost and who's going to pay for it? So first, the cost. We'll click through. As envisioned in Gensler's design, the full redevelopment of the Astrodome and all the amazing spaces enclosed within will cost approximately $1 billion. The simplest way to consider that total project is by splitting it into two components. We have a $250 million events arena and up to about $750 million of commercial real estate opportunities inside within the dome. Another way to consider that cost in the project is to recognize that the public investment by Harris County of $250 million into a new events arena can generate a ratio of further investment of about 3 to 1. Next slide. And specific to that events arena, we believe that Vision Astrodome provides the most compelling and cost-effective approach to bringing a new modern events arena to NRG Park. I think if there's one thing that anybody in Houston, Harris County can agree to, there's a new arena at NRG Park is probably a good thing. As an aside, I saw Nate Bargatze when he performed there. I saw the swarm of flies that attacked him. We should get a new arena. So, knowing that a recent design RFP called for a new arena at NRG Park with a preliminary project budget of estimated $350 million, and also knowing that demolition, if we can even use that word, demolition of the Astrodome would cost about $100 million, we believe that we have a far more cost-effective approach of integrating the arena within the multitude of uses at Vision Astrodome, and that will save $200 million of Harris County taxpayer dollars. $200 million for taxpayer dollars. Next slide. We also know that the Astrodome, and only the Astrodome, is the only facility at Energy Park that can access up to $400 million in federal and state tax credits that can be made available to this county-owned asset. Utilizing those outside funds unlocks the opportunity to attract private investment to commercial real estate portions, within the newly revisioned Astrodome. The use of those tax credits makes private investment in this project both risk-adjusted and market viable. In short, it pencils. I'll now turn back the podium to our board chair, Phoebe Tudor. Thank you.
So thank you everyone here for your hard work, everyone on the Astrodome Conservancy for being dedicated and tenacious. This is a project that is a long-term project. We've been talking about this. The Astrodome Conservancy has been talking about this for a while. The county's been talking about this for a while. It's time to move the needle. It's time to push this forward. There are many reasons why the timing is good right now. I think Ryan's financial information was beyond compelling. I think that everyone needs to realize revitalizing this historic building could bring in $400 million of private funding via the historic tax credits that could turn a small project into a giant billion-dollar project with minimal investment from the county. And provide us with a gleaming, iconic centerpiece to NRG Park and any further plans for NRG Park. This would be an entertainment zone, a multi-use facility as it was originally designed, and it's something that all of Houston can be proud of and excited and get behind. We are hereby now submitting the Vision Astrodome complex as a consideration for a key component of the NRG master plan. And we look forward to conversations with the county and the tenants and the Harris County Sports Corporation to advance this idea. This concludes our press conference. We have numerous board members here who are prepared to answer questions. And if you guys would all stand up, please. Maybe we'll go, should we go to the top? Come down here, over to the side, and we'll be available. Yeah, come on now. do it now. And we will conclude this portion of the press conference, but we are available for questions, and these people, as you will learn, are coming from all sorts of interesting backgrounds and areas of expertise. Thank you very much.